Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. This is my review for Lady Snowblood. Recently picked this up on Blu-ray, the Arrow edition. It's a film that I've picked up a few times over the years, been really intrigued by, kind of been on the tipping point of buying, but never quite brought myself to do it. And then I saw the Arrow release. It's also got the sequel on there. It was $7.99 in HMV, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. Now, I know it was a big inspiration for Kill Bill, and it's kind of how I came to know about the film. It does star Kajimako, who is also a musician, singer. I'm very big into Japanese culture. I think some of that comes from Kill Bill, to be honest. But I went to Japan in 2003 and I did buy the greatest hits of Kajimako, primarily because one of her songs, a song that appears in this film, was written for this film, does appear in Kill Bill. So like I say, heavy influence for Kill Bill. So that's really kind of my history of my understanding of the film, going into it, why I wanted to watch it. And I got to say, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I blind bought this film. It's really good. I like samurai movies anyway. I'm pretty big into the Japanese kind of samurai culture type movies. And like I say, for me, I just find that sometimes you see these old films, kind of schlocky films, and when you watch them, you end up just thinking, all right, that was a bit naff. But this was genuinely a good film. Now, I'm not going to bang on too much about the Tarantino influence, the influence it had on Tarantino. I think that's clear, really is. But I will just say one thing, which is that, yeah, absolutely, you can see where Kill Bill came from. Definitely came from this film. The structure of it is very much, I think, what inspired Tarantino in much of his work as well, because it flits around narratively. It's not told from beginning to end in linear fashion. It gives us the information we need to have as and when it sees fit, and it does that by jumping backwards and forwards in time. But it follows this woman who is essentially a wraith. She's her sole purpose for being born was to wreak vengeance. So this woman, she was raped and then sentenced to prison. She killed one of her attackers and she was sent to prison for life for it. And whilst in prison, she seduces tons of guards in order to get herself pregnant, with the sole purpose of having that child be raised to go out and wreak vengeance on the people who raped her and are responsible for putting her in prison, essentially, which, when you think about it, is a really messed up concept. It's a really messed up concept, and it kind of makes you feel for this central character. So the central character, as I say, is played by Kajimako, and her name is Yuki, so she's the Lady Snowblood of the title. She was born whilst it was snowing all around. I think Yuki means snow, rough translation. I'm obviously, my Japanese isn't up to snuff, but I believe that's what it's referring to. And yeah, so there is a scene actually when Yuki is born, and you see the pain of this mother who recognizes her own sin, I guess, in that she's brought this child into the world for one purpose, and she has to, in many ways, kind of switch off whatever love she might have for her. And yeah, be driven by this one cause. But it's very much a film about fate in that respect, in the sense that this woman's destiny or fate or her life has already been mapped out for her. The prisoners that share this cell with this woman, with her mother, are kind of made to swear that they will see that she is brought up with this purpose in mind. So in that regard, you know, this is a central character who's only ever known one purpose, who's only ever been taught one thing, and is so single-minded in her goal as a result of that. You know, if you take a child from birth and you tell them what they're destined for, and you only ever teach them in that regard, this is what you get. So yeah, that's quite an intriguing concept for me, and I think it's very well executed in this film. Kajimako was quite a nice surprise, actually. You know, oftentimes you get singers, people who are famous for their pop career or whatever, and they go into acting and it's a bit cringe. But no, she's a genuinely accomplished actress. She plays the role well. She gets some pretty good action sequences as well, which are again very well filmed. This is 1973, so you know, maybe it's my ignorance, I guess. I would expect a film of this era to not be quite as graphic as this is, but I don't know. 73, I guess we were heading towards a lot of the nasties that came out. Certainly in America at that time, but yeah, here there's a lot of gore. The violence is quite explicit. It doesn't hold back from showing limbs being cut in half and torsos being torn in two. So yeah, they don't skimp in that regard. So if you're a gore hound, I think you'll enjoy the film on that front. But no, I like the way that the layers of the onion are peeled back in this film, and again, that's down to the structure. You know, the zipping backwards and forwards. We learn about this character over the course of time. And I think if it had been told in a linear fashion, it wouldn't work quite as well. The information would either come too late or too soon. Yeah, it helps you to feel for this character and identify with her. At the moments when you need to, you know, the stage that she's on in her journey, that a critical piece of information is given to you that helps you understand that this is a lost soul. You know, her, like I say, her future was determined for her since before she was born, and you know, it's quite tragic. I love the setting as well. I think you know, the period detail is handled pretty well. Again, I'm no history expert, but I imagine the Japan of the 1970s was very different to the period that we see in this film. And I think they do a really good job with the cinematography and the production design, just making it feel like it is of the time it was set. I do like this period, you know, like I say, a lot of the Japanese samurai films that I've seen that are set around this time, one of the reasons I do enjoy them is that period. You know, part of my visits to Japan were in many of the areas that a lot of the old dojos still existed and were preserved and stuff. And I just, yeah, I liked to immerse myself in that culture at the time, and yeah. So I love the setting, I love the cinematography, I love the production design. The performances are great. There's a real good collection of characters. The three villains that she's hunting down are all very kind of have their own little quirks and whatnot. One of them's a woman, and she's quite an evil cretin. Again, quite a surprise to see, you know, in a film of this period, to have a woman in the central role, in the way that she is. You know, like if you look at American cinema, you're not getting that kind of thing until you get Ripley in Alien, I guess. Certainly for the action genre. I mean, I don't mean all films, but for the action genre. Whereas, yeah, Japan, they were already doing it. They were already kicking it out with Meiko in this film. So yeah, she's got the action chops. And like I say, there's a female villain in it as well that's quite psychotic, quite deranged, and again, it's just unexpected to see. Being someone who's been raised on a diet of like American cinema and whatnot, you know, women in American films, certainly of that era, were either scream queens, running from the killers, or they were yeah, you know, damsels in distress. So like certainly for me at any rate, I don't think of anyone until we get to like Princess Leia and Ripley within the sci-fi action kind of male dominated genres. I can't really think of any characters that spring to mind before those, but I'm sure somebody will correct me on that, and I'm happy for you to do so. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It was a nice surprise. As a blind buy, I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm looking forward to getting to the sequel. I hear it's not quite as good as the original, but hey ho, sequels rarely are. Either way, I'm still looking forward to it. If you haven't checked out Lady Snowblood and you are a fan of Kill Bill, you owe it to yourself to track it down and watch it. It's definitely worth it. It's now my second favourite film of 1973 behind Serpico. So yeah, there you go. 4 out of 5 from me. If you have seen Lady Snowblood, I would like to know what you thought about it. And if you've seen the sequel, do let me know your thoughts on that as well. Also, please don't forget to check out my Patreon, as well as the join button that's just down here. Become a member if you would prefer, rather than Patreon. It's up to you. But yeah, lots of wonderful perks for you, and you get to become a part of the Bryan Lomax Movie Talk team. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and until next time, crack it.